To start this, I'm just going to say that my fiancé and I aren't getting married for another 2 years because of virus and dysfunction with travel for both of our out-of-state families. We've set the wedding out 2 years on purpose, but I've started with all the planning anyway. I'm meticulous, and he's a perfectionist, so we're wanting things to go off without a hitch if possible. Recently, we were discussing our guest list, so we could get a between count of people attending. We're expecting between 40 and 100 people, but we're trying to be thorough in all aspects. My younger sister, whom I have never had a good relationship with in the entirety of our lives, knows about our wedding, and she is very, very entitled. I've got plenty of stories about her and the parent she gets her entitlement from. She called a few days ago to give me an update on her life and the drama surrounding herself and asking for money. Yet again. I pretended to listen and only said, "Oh yeah? Huh. To her about everything. She then brings up casual conversation topics like, "How are you? How's my niece doing?" etc., etc. Then she drops the question. "Sister, so where am I in the line as your bridesmaid?" Me, confused because I never said she was one. "You're not a bridesmaid. I have my older sister, close friend, as my maid of honor, fiancé's friend's wife, because we are friends and I like her, and sister-in-law. We aren't doing a large wedding party because we don't have a large friend group, and we aren't into big affairs anyway." Sister. "But you're supposed to have your sisters as your bridesmaids. It's traditional." Me. "Maybe so somewhere else, but not in my life or my wedding. I have who I have, and I'm not making it bigger or replacing one of them with you." I state this over and over throughout the conversation because she won't take no for an answer. I finally get fed up with the whole lot and tell at her, "It doesn't matter. Fiancé and I don't want you at the wedding anyway, so drop it. Remember the entitlement from earlier?" Sister. "If you don't invite me to your wedding or make me a bridesmaid, I'll ruin your wedding. Your wedding day is just as much about me as it is about you, and I will be there. Besides, if you don't, I'll just tell Mom, and she'll make you do it." She then hangs up and proceeded to call our mom. My mom calls me and tells me what the sister told her. All lies, by the way, and said that I shouldn't go back on my promise of her bridesmaid position or wedding invitation. That we are family, and I shouldn't turn my back on her like that. It's affected my mom differently than I assumed it would. I'm already standing firm on not letting my sister come, but my problem lies with my mother and myself. I don't want her to be angry or upset. I don't want her to decide not to come because of this. 2 years is still a bit away, and things may calm down, but my sister will hold a grudge as long as she needs to get her way, even years if it needs it. I love my mom and I want her there. We've already been virtual dress shopping for her mother of the bride dress. She has a place in the wedding party and ceremony, and it would break my heart if she didn't come because of my sister. I just don't know what to do, and I don't know how to handle this. I just got my relationship with her back into something good for us both, and I'm beyond happy she's back in my life. I couldn't take it if we were to break apart again. Screw her. Just hire security and show her pictures so they keep her out. Send her an invite to a wrong place and wrong date. But in all seriousness, your sister sucks. Do you have a person that can back you up? Like a person that doesn't mind being that bee? Cause in a case like this, I would love a wedding planner by my side. They're mean to who they have to be. Honestly, since it's 2 years out, don't uninvite her completely yet. Even though it's your day and money, it's going to cause a giant rift in your family and mar the experience either way, honestly. However, definitely do not let her into the wedding party. You are in no way obligated to do that. She can come as a family member or not come at all, but do not make her a bridesmaid or seat her at the wedding party table. Tell your mom you never promised her she could be a bridesmaid, and she will not be one. You guys have a bad relationship, and it would be unfair of your mom to force you to ruin your wedding by spending all that time with her. Might as well tell your sister now that she's not a bridesmaid because of your horrific relationship, and she's not worth ruining your wedding for, but that she's welcome to come as a family guest like everyone else, or not come at all. After that, make sure you don't share any of the details of the planning with close family. Your mom might tell her venue, times, photographer, bridal boutique info, etc. And if sister is crazy enough, she may really sabotage with any information she can get. Update. As I stated before, the wedding is 2 years away, and things may settle or change, but given what has happened in the last week, I don't believe it will. So, as of around Thursday last week, my mom thought it best to have a conference call with my sister and I. I've disowned and stopped talking to her entirely, to help resolve the issue we have in hopes of trying to repair our relationship. We started the conversation by me explaining, very calmly, because losing my head wouldn't solve anything, to my sister why I was upset at what she said. Why she assumed she had given herself priority in a matter that didn't and doesn't have to concern her. Once I finished speaking, my mom asked my sister to speak her piece, and that's when all hell broke loose. She started screaming about how it was right, and that nothing and no one was going to stand in the way of her special day. Called my mom a bee for not siding with her and making me give her what she wants, and how she'll never forgive us. Then hung up. It's only been 4 days, but she has refused contact with me and my mom. Badmouths us to any family member, friend, and even stranger who will listen. My mom and I spent a couple hours on the phone taking turns crying for various reasons. But she told me she was sorry she doubted me, even for just a moment. I wasn't mad at her. I was upset that it got to her the way it did. Things are settling day by day, and we aren't focused on anything but the present for now. Our wedding will proceed as planned, but for now, I promised my mom that unless it concerns her directly, that I would avoid wedding talk so we can keep the peace better until closer to the date. If she and my sister reconcile, that's one thing. But I expressed my displeasure at her and her actions, and said that unless she cleans up her act and can contain and control herself better, I won't be contacting her under any circumstances for the foreseeable future. And I know a lot of you saw me as a bridezilla, or too prideful or egotistical, and I know I let my anger get the better of me, because my sister knows which buttons to push to set me off. But I can say for certain that she has always been this way her whole life, and not just to me. She expects things without earning them, assumes without confirmation, and thinks the world owes her a favor because she draws breath. She has even outright said that when she wants something, no matter what it may be, she will get it. At the cost of relationships, friendships, etc. It will be hers one way or another. I met my husband almost 12 years ago. When we met, I had been divorced for almost 5 years, and my kids at that point were 11, 9, and 8. Literally from the day we met, he and I have been inseparable. Over the course of 3 months, I introduced him to my kids, and slowly worked him into our lives. He is an amazing man. He stepped up and took on the role of stepdad to 3 kids who didn't have a male role model at all. Their dad disappeared after we got divorced. If someone asks one of my kids what their dad's name is, they name their stepdad. We have a really nice life together, have raised all 3 kids to be smart, healthy, mature, amazing people. We live in a nice house, have good jobs, yada yada yada. Here's the issue. My husband's family resents that when he met me, he took on the job of being a dad to my kids, and that we decided that we didn't want any more kids. Over the years, we have gotten together for holidays with his family. His parents were at our wedding. We visit on birthdays and barbecues and such. But they are never overly friendly or kind to me or the kids. They have 2 daughters as well, and each sister has kids. At Christmas, his parents go out of their way to buy gifts that are very expensive for each of the grandkids, which we would not know about save the fact that they insist on bragging about how much they spend on each kid. They have never given any of my kids a gift for any occasion, which my kids don't care about because they aren't those kinds of kids. But I feel like on Christmas, you could have acknowledged 3 kids that your son has decided to raise by at least giving them a card or something. They do bring a gift for my husband, and we always have gifts for them. There are little jabs thrown here and there, like saying to my husband, "It's a shame you never got to have any kids of your own." And we explained that that wasn't something we weren't interested in. Thankfully, they don't say stuff like that around the kids. We live 25 miles from them, and they are in their 60s, so they don't show up at our house often. It's not like we spend tons of time together, and there has never been a falling out or any major drama. They are just sort of there in the background. We see them maybe 6 times a year for 2 hours at a time. This year for Christmas, all 3 kids were coming home, so we invited his parents as well and thought we would get everyone together and try to have a nice time. The kids all showed up and opened their presents. We cleaned the wrapping mess up, and the kids set the big dining room table with plates and silverware, and we made it look super festive. His parents showed up about 30 minutes later, walk in and hug him, take off their coats, and go into the den that is open into the kitchen, and sit down and start watching TV. They said nothing to the kids, even though all 3 kids were very friendly to them when they walked in. My kids shrug it off, and the 3 of them, my oldest son's wife, and my daughter's boyfriend, all stay in the living room, dining room, talking and having a good time, and helping me finish dinner. When we announce that dinner is ready, everyone grabs a plate. It was a buffet-style deal, and heads for the food. The kids and my husband and I wait for his parents to serve themselves because manners. And his mom says, "Where are we sitting?" I say, "We set the big table in the dining room. Plenty of seating there." And they both go back into the den and sit down in recliners to eat. I say, "Is that going to be comfortable sitting like that to eat?" And his mom replies all snarky, We won't spill anything if that's what you're worried about. I was absolutely not worried about them spilling. I genuinely thought they would be uncomfortable holding plates while trying to eat. I glanced at my husband, who shrugged his shoulders at me. All the kids got their food and went to sit at the big table, and my husband walks up to me and I whisper, "What do we do here? I don't want to sit in the den and eat. I want to eat with the kids. It's Christmas, for duck's sake." And my husband replies with, "Well, screw 'em. Let's sit with the kids." So we went into the dining room and sat with the kids and had a really good time. About 5 minutes after having polished off their food, the parents announce, "We're gonna head home, it's a long ride," and they grab their stuff and leave. The morning of the 26th, I get a message from my daughter, asking if the in-laws were mad at them or something, and wondering why they didn't sit with us. I tell my husband about this, and he says, "Yeah, they were really disrespectful to not sit in the dining room with everyone else. I'm really disappointed in them," and doesn't say anything else about it until about 6 hours later, when he says, "I don't think we should invite them for Christmas anymore. They were really rude," and then changed the subject and went on with his day. To be very honest, I don't know these people very well, and even though I have tried to be nice and include them and reach out to them, it is obvious they don't want to deal with me or my kids. And that's fine, I guess. But without knowing them very well, it is hard to decipher if they are being rude on purpose, or if they are just clueless about their behavior. I'm hoping that people here could give me their opinion about this situation. Yeah, they definitely know what they're doing. As has been said already, I'd just stop inviting them for now and see how they react. All that'll happen is they stop coming to your gatherings being rude and negative, or they decide they want to make an effort and do so. To be honest, I don't think they're clueless about their behavior. They very well know what they're doing if they're buying gifts for the other kids but not your own, and then coming to your house and being disrespectful. I've seen a lot of people in their 60s and up do this in my culture, and I've heard other people talk about how their in-laws don't treat them nicely. It really could be because your kids aren't your husband's biological kids, hence not blood related to the in-laws. They probably don't feel obligated to show affection because they aren't biologically related. It does suck, especially for the kids, because your kids are asking if they are disliked by the in-laws, even though they didn't do anything. I would suggest just keeping them away on family functions and not inviting them because it doesn't really seem like they care. And maybe if they see they're not being invited anymore, they'll think about their actions and behavior. I would also suggest your husband ask them about why they do it, and set it straight with them that it's disrespectful. I, 28 female, and my fiancé, 34 male, are extremely close. We've been dating for 3 years and engaged for 1. I guess the main part of this post is about my relationship with the kids, and why I really don't want them to attend. First of all, I've been planning this wedding since I was 15. I saw it in a big oak barn, which luckily his family owns, covered in a modern yet rustic type look. Some recent decisions are Belle Isle for the band, and I'd sing a song out of my bows. When we got engaged, we basically decided it would be quite a drunk wedding for after the ceremony, and it would basically be a cocktail wine, anything alcohol obsessed theme, as neither of us ever really get to let loose. Plus, my future father-in-law offered to pay for all the drinks. My biggest problem is the kids though. I wanted to marry a man, regardless if he had kids or not, and I've actually grown close with his children. He has 14 female, 10 male, 7 male, and 6 female. My bond with the eldest is mostly a sisterly type relationship, as we're not that big a gap in age. And her mother, she's pretty close with me. With the wedding in 5 months, we've made a lot of changes, and are discussing our guests. We need to send out invites in 2 weeks. When he asked me where the kids would be, I basically asked him if he would be okay having them at the after party and ceremony, as there would be tons of people, and a 7-year-old has ADHD and isn't great at staying quiet at the moment. Plus, his youngest is going through a clingy stage where he needs to be held by a parent, or she'll start moaning and whining. I suggested having a kid-free wedding, and he told me if it made me uncomfortable, only his eldest kids would be at the ceremony, and his other kids could hang out with their mother and watch it on Skype or go to a cafe with their mom. I agreed, but first we called his ex over. Naturally, she is not invited to the wedding, and I won't be letting her come as she's quite spiteful towards me. She hated this idea and said that this was her only break as she has to take care of the kids all day. She then said the only way she would look after them is if she could come to the wedding and relax with a small glass of wine and a boat during the ceremony. It sounded like she wouldn't even look after them that way, and I'm not taking chances. I told her no, and she persisted in saying she ain't taking care of them. To my surprise, my fiancé agreed she could come, even though we agreed on the opposite, and I told him no. He said to stop being petty, And he would actually like to have all his kids at the wedding, and if not the ceremony, the after party with all the drunk people. I basically, rudely, no kids in the room, told them they were all pathetic and rude, and that the day wasn't about his ex or his kids. And even though I do love his children, I can't have the youngest there. It led to a big fight, and now his ex and all their families are against me, telling me it's not a big deal, and to stop being such a jerk. Am I the a-hole? Yes, the a-hole. They're his children. The wedding isn't just about you. If he wants his children there, they get to be there. Yes, the a-hole. You don't sound ready to be married or mature enough to be a step-parent.